Hi guys, so we're gonna start in 30 seconds over here. If you guys could just type in the chat and let me know if you hear me, okay? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, great. So we're gonna start the webinar here. Today we're gonna cover how to list variations, both single item listing through the interface and how to do it in bulk. We're gonna cover how to do it for eBay and the SureDone storefront. We'll talk a little bit about the variations on Amazon, and then we'll talk about the editing of variation listings and listing variations in bulk. So if I jump over here to SureDone, which all of you guys are used to seeing by now, the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add a variation. And so we're going to go to add a product. And the first item we're going to create is going to be, this is our webinar variation. We're going to give it a price of $10. We're going to give it a stock of 1. And we're going to start with the first size, which is going to be small. And the color will be black. Now, if I scroll a little bit further down, let's give it a condition of new. And we can actually go ahead and give this a SKU. So this is going to be B0022. What's interesting to note here is there's two fields in SureDone. We have the SKU, which is the product SKU, and then you have what we call the GUID. This is a unique identifier to SureDone. GUID actually stands for Global Unique Identifier. It's important to note that you can have a duplicate SKU, but you can never have a duplicate GUID. When listing variations, we want to pay close attention to these two values, because if a parent product exists, then the SKU and the GUID are equivalent to one another. So this being the parent product over here in SureDone, so we're creating this webinar variation product, the GUID is actually going to be the same value as this. Now, when we're adding children products to this, you will see that the SKU will stay the same, but the GUID will differ. Now, when you're first creating the parent product, you don't need to fill out both values. You can just create the SKU, and by default, SureDone will know to create the GUID's value to match the SKU. Now that I've gone ahead and added that, I can go further down the page, and we could create this here. And let me scroll down to the media section over here, and we'll actually add the image. So this will be my image. We'll give it a big number 1. And we will actually go ahead and create draft. Now, it's important to note, you have to click create draft, not add. The reason for that is because we're creating a parent product and we're going to add children products to it. And so we want to make sure that it's in draft mode, because the product is not complete yet without the children attached to it. And so we're going to click create draft. You give that just a second while it creates that new product in the system. As soon as that product is ready, you can take a look here at the URL. You're going to see that we're in product with the ID of 30. We can now go ahead. We're going to select the action, and we're going to go to create a variation. Now that you've clicked create variation, you're going to see here it does prompt you with the rest of the options. So now the GUID, as we discussed before, is going to be what differs. And so over here, we're going to call this blue. So we'll create a new variation here. We'll give this a stock of 2. We'll give this a size of medium. And the color for this will be blue. Now if I click create, Give that just a second. The system, what it's essentially doing is actually copying all of the product details from the original product that we created, and it's pulling them into here. You can ignore this validation warning. It's just because we're in a demo account. That has nothing to do with the variation. And what you'll see here now is that we're in this new product. The SKU stayed the same, and the GUID is now suffixed with the word blue. If I go down to the media section, keep in mind, if it's not sharing the same image as the parent product and you want to give it its own image, you could press this trash can. You could go here to select the file, and now we could select this image over here. I know it's 3, but that's because we chose blue. We're going to go here and we're going to hit update, so we can now update this item. And then if I go up here to the variations tab, I can actually click create variation if I want to create a new variation, or I can actually jump over to the parent product just by clicking this as a link. I'm going to go here, I'm going to create another variation, and this time we're going to do red, and we're going to change this to large, and we'll make this red. We'll hit create. So now it's obviously processing and creating a new product for me. Now that that's done, you'll see here it's added all those values. So now the GUID ends with red, size, large, color, red. If I jump down to the media section, once again, I want to swap out this image because it needs a different image. I have my numbers mixed up a little bit over here. So this is number 2. We're going to hit update item. So that's swapping the image out. And now if I jump back up to the variations tab, you'll see here it shows me that first the second variation that I created. And if I jump to the parent product, just by clicking on that link, it says, so now that I've clicked that, you'll see that I have all the parent information up here. And then if I jump down to the variations tab, you will see that I have these variations now listed within. And so I have my blue, medium blue, and large red. You can also see the stock levels. And what's nice is the way that SureDone works is we create variations very similar to the way that eBay creates them. So the way you create a variation on eBay is you would create one product listing, and then you would add variations of that product listing. Now, with Amazon, Amazon has something called a dummy SKU. The dummy SKU is just a placeholder, so it's not an actual product in your inventory that has stock and real values. It's just a placeholder. SureDone does support the dummy SKU, and when you create the variation in SureDone, all you're going to do is create the variation just as I've taught you, and when it gets to Amazon, it will create a new SKU in your Amazon active inventory, and you'll see that the end of the SKU says -AMZ. That just signifies that that is the parent product. Now, that dummy parent can have some information of its own, and so you can actually go here in SureDone and actually give it its own values. If you leave these all blank, we'll just send in the default values that were assigned to the parent, which you see up here above. Now, what's nice about these single items, now that you've created those variations, you can actually come here and you can actually edit them inline. So if you want to make some adjustments over here to the stock levels or maybe to one of the variation options, you can. If you hit the check mark, you'll see that that actually says your product variant changes were saved, and that actually went ahead and made those changes live. And so the next thing I'm going to do here is talk about a little bit about how it works with Amazon. So with Amazon, you actually need a custom field in order to list variations. They don't automatically support them. You need to actually create a custom field and map that custom field within the XML mapping. I'll show you how that's done right now. So if I go over here, and how I got here is if you click settings and you click channels, and you go over here to the XML mapping, that's actually where you're going to map the field. And so if I scroll down here, and you're going to see that this is based on the actual category that you're listing in. So not every category in Amazon supports variations. So let's take one that does. So let's scroll down and we're going to do product clothing, which is basically clothing. And you're going to see here that we have a few fields. We have size, we have color, and the most important, variation theme. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go now. I already have size and color in my system. And so I don't need to create anything for those. But for variation theme, I do. So I'm going to go here to settings. I'm going to go to advanced. And if you look at your custom user fields, I'm missing variation theme. So I'm going to click add custom user field. And we're going to create a new field in SureDone so that way we can map it. So we're going to call it variation theme. The value over here will just be a varchar 50. And we're going to shut display to off because no one needs to see that. It's just an internal field that's used for Amazon. We're going to hit save settings. And now you'll see that we have a new field here, variation theme. And all we have to do is go back to settings, go to channels, go to our XML mapping. Once again, we're going to select product clothing. I'm going to map my size field. I'm going to map my color field. And I'm going to map my variation theme field. Now I'm going to click save. Now that that's done, if I go back to SureDone, I'm going to refresh the page. Now normally that should be done before you go and actually create the variation. But either way, it does not matter. Just refresh the page so that new field pops up in SureDone. So you'll see here as this loads that I'm in this product. Now, it's important to note with the variation theme for Amazon, you can have, so the most common values are size, color, or size color. And if we go over here to Amazon, I'll show you an example. So this is if you were listing a product manually on Amazon, you'll see they have this variation theme field. And within this, you'll actually see that there's size, color, or size color. Now, specific categories might have other values. Those are the three most common. For about 95% of the use cases, those are the values. Now, Amazon does have some other variation themes depending on what you're listing. And so over here for perfume, you could change the scent name. And so you're basically just going to use the values that Amazon provides. They also provide those within the Amazon loader files. If I go back to SureDone now, and I jump over to custom fields, if we scroll to the bottom, you'll see I have variation theme. And so the value could either be size, it could be color, or in this case, it's going to be size color. It's very important to note how you actually word it. You don't want to put this. That's not correct. Amazon's API will reject that. And you also don't want to put a space. You just want it as one word, size, color. The casing does not matter. And the reason I chose size color here is because I'm actually varying on two different options. I'm varying both on the size of the item and the color of the item. And you could see that specifically over here, size and color. So now I can hit update item. So I've saved that. Now, it's important also to note for eBay, because we covered Amazon, if we want to look at our other options over here, we're going to go to our selling settings. And under our SKU options, let's say, for example, you have a field that's not as basic as size or color or style. Let's say there's something else that you want to create a variant on. You can actually come here and add a custom field. So for example, if I wanted to vary on a manufacturer, maybe several different manufacturers make that same product that I'm selling, I can actually choose that. Or maybe you want to create a drop-down menu for somebody to select different MPNs from the list. You can actually click the field, hit save settings, and that'll add it to this variation field set. And what that lets you do is actually use that custom field as a field for creating a variation. So you're not limited to just size, color, and style. You could use whatever you would like. Now that I've created these fields here, all I have to do if I want to list this product is, because the parent product is actually in draft mode, all I have to do to get this live now is just list the parent product, and it'll take all of the children products and list it accordingly. So if I do a quick search here, and I select products from the dropdown, and we're going to search for this item over here. you will see here that I have the parent product, and then I have the children products associated with it. And that's why you're seeing two layers here. So the first one shows you the SKU. The bottom value is actually the GUID. And as we discussed in the beginning of the webinar, if the SKU and GUID are equivalent to one another, you will only see one value here. Now that we've done that, all I have to do is I can relist the parent. Or if I'm listing to Amazon, it's important to note that after you've relisted the parent, you also want to list the children products alongside of it. So if you'd like, you could just come here and go to the bulk actions and hit bulk relist, and that will actually list the items. Okay. And I got a nice error because I'm trying to list products to eBay without filling out all of my eBay information. But that is the process to actually list those items. So if I click into the parent product, you'll actually see that. And in just a second, I'm going to cover how you could do this in bulk as well. And so I'm going to want to uncheck these because right now I'm not listing to those marketplaces. And oh, it looks like I already listed it. And so you can actually see that. And so this product is now listed as a variation within SureDone. And now if I wanted to push it to eBay and Amazon, I would just, of course, have to go fill out the Amazon information and the eBay information. Since I didn't select anything here, I did receive errors. And so just to cover how it works with bulk now, let's go back here. What we're going to do is I'm going to pull in a spreadsheet. And so it's important to note that if we're using a bulk spreadsheet for listing here, what we're going to have is going to be, actually, because I'll make this a little bit bigger so it's a little bit easier to see. Actually, I could just zoom in on that. And so you'll see here that my action equals add. And so I'm adding a new product. These two columns are interchangeable when you're creating a variation. You could put the SKU first and then put all the GUID values after. Or alternatively, you could put the GUID first. Just keep in mind that the SKU always has to stay the same for all the products that are linked to it. And more importantly, the parent has to be the first product listed because the way our bulk uploader works is it runs line by line. And so if you didn't do this first and you put this on the bottom, it'll reject all of these because the parent SKU does not exist yet. So it's important to note that you have to list this product first. Once you've done that, you could put in all your stock values, your prices, title, size, color. Keep in mind in this scenario, once again, we have different colors, different sizes. Therefore, our variation theme field that we discussed earlier is going to be size, color. And you could just take that value and just drag that down across all three. And that will actually prepare your bulk upload file for being created and listed to Amazon. Now, another thing to keep in mind is if you're going to be listing to Amazon, as mentioned earlier, you have to list all of the children products individually, line by line, because that's how Amazon receives the data. With eBay, if you're listing to eBay or you're listing just to the SureDone storefront, you don't have to worry about doing a relist on the children products specifically. You could just relist the parent, and that will associate all of the children products with it. What that would look like is very simple. All you would have to do is after you've saved your first spreadsheet, which is an add.csv, you could go here and you would create a second spreadsheet very similar to that. You can even alter your original spreadsheet. And all this would look like would be literally action equals relist. And then you would have a column with your GUID, and you would put all of your unique identifiers over here. And this would be uploaded after you've uploaded your original file. So this first file would actually go ahead, and once that's processed, that'll actually create the variations within SureDone. Once that file is complete and it's done processing, you would then upload a second file into SureDone, which will actually attempt to relist all of those products to the marketplaces. Now keep in mind, it's important to note that you want to make sure that everything has been listed successfully and make sure that you do a spot check on your results file from your bulk upload before uploading the relist, just to avoid any errors. We're also going to be covering more about bulk this Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to do a full-on webinar like I'm doing now that's going to be covering bulk management and bulk training. And so you can learn a lot more about using bulk files on that webinar. I am going to open this up to some questions. So we have about 5 minutes to cover some questions. And so if you want to ask any questions, feel free to just type them in the little chat. And I'll leave until 1:25 for any questions. If you don't have any questions and I don't see anything pop up in there, then we can end this early. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any questions come in over here. So thank you guys for joining us on today's webinar. We did record this session and we're going to make it available for you and all of your employees for future reference. And if you have any questions, feel free to join us on our Thursday webinar. I'm actually going to post the link in the chat to our Thursday webinar. And so if you want to just save that somewhere, you can join Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. This is the link. Thank you. Bye-bye.